Hello everyone. I know I said I wouldn't do any videos this weekend, but I found something that seems noteworthy of talking about here. So in my last video I talked briefly about the Great Blizzard of 1888 and the Big Storm of 1993. And I was reading some of these articles and I noticed a couple of similar things in the setups of these storms that might be present next week. So I'm going to talk briefly about that because I think that if some of these ingredients come together correct, we could get a big snowstorm. And again, this is probably a long shot, but I'm gonna talk through this anyway because anything is possible. We're still 6 days out from this storm. So anyway, if you read here, where do I want to focus? I want to focus on this paragraph here. Watch my mouse. On March 10th, this is the blizzard of 1888. Temperatures in the Northeast hovered in the mid-50s. But on March 11th, cold Arctic air from Canada collided with Gulf air from the south, and temperatures plunged. Rain turned to snow and winds reached hurricane-strength levels. By midnight on March 11th, gusts were recorded at 85 miles per hour in New York City. Along with heavy snow, there was a complete whiteout in the city when the residents awoke the next morning. Now, why would I focus on this paragraph? Well, if you take a look here at the GFS, this is a model representation, and again, I appreciate for the shakiness here. I'm using my phone again. So here's what's going to happen. Starting on Monday, you're going to have a brief warm-up. You're going to have high pressure setting up over here, a storm system moving out to sea here, a clipper system on Monday, and this is going to usher in warm air pretty much throughout the entire country. Okay? This is during the day on Monday. This is a Monday morning. Then by Monday evening and Monday afternoon, you're warmed up again. So notice you have your 40s and 50s all the way up here, right? Okay, this is during Tuesday morning, so these are like your low temperatures Tuesday night. And this is Tuesday evening. Again, look at how far north this warm air is. So what's my point? Well, in the article we just read about the Great Blizzard of 1888, the day before the storm happened, temperatures were in the mid-50s. So look at, now this isn't as big a temperature contrast as I'd like, but if you look here, you have your 40s all the way up across central New York, southern Connecticut, southeastern Massachusetts, extending back here, and you have 50s down here, 70s down there. So look at all this warm air that's here, and then you have a cold air mass that's going to be coming in following that. So what's my point? You're going to have a big temperature contrast between here and here. And the difference between this storm and last Monday's storm is the warm air is going to be farther north. And what does that mean? Well, that means when your storm comes up here...
Are you done, Mike?
When your storm comes up here, if you have a big temperature contrast up here, then conditions are going to be more favorable for it to explode if it comes up here where the boundary is. So your plunge of Arctic air is going to come in, and it's going to come further south. But when the storm comes up the coast, like the storm of 1888, if it comes up the coast like this, that's going to be very favorable for all this moisture coming in. You have a big temperature contrast here, so watch what happens. This is Wednesday morning. And then look, your cold air starts to move south by Wednesday evening. And then by Thursday morning, look at all this cold air that comes in. So if this is absorbing moisture, and all that moisture goes on top of the cold air that's coming in, what are you going to get? You're going to get really heavy snow in this area. Alright, so that's a comparison to the Great Storm of 1888 that I see. That's the first comparison. The next comparison is with the storm of 1993. If you take a look, this is AccuWeather.com. If you take a look here, you see that you have a couple of jet streams that are merging into one big jet stream. Now, there aren't going to be 3 merging into 1, but as I mentioned in my last video, hold on. If you look here, you have 2 jet streams there. And now they merge into 1. So watch, between this, you have your northern jet stream coming along here, your southern jet stream coming along here. And then they merge. The jet streams merge. Now, that's a comparison to the storm in 1993. Because what you had here was you had a band of winds in the 1993 storm that was in excess of 170 miles per hour in the jet stream. Now, so these are going to merge here. And if you look at your jet stream forecast from the GFS, this is different than the European. If you go to Wednesday, so let's look at our jet stream here. Hold on, I'm waiting for it to load. Alright, so this is Thursday morning. Oops, sorry. Thursday morning. The low is probably already going to be around here. But if you look, you have areas of yellow in this jet stream here, and you can see how they merged over here into one section of jet stream. So if you look, that's about 120. That's not as impressive, obviously. But again, it's another comparison.
Are you confident or what?
So those are the comparisons I see between these 2 storms. And now, do I think that we're going to get a storm like the blizzard of 88 or 93? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. It doesn't look like it at this point. However, this is what I think would need to happen if you wanted to get a big blizzard like that. So, this is the European. Okay, so here's the first thing. Both of the blizzards formed down here in the Gulf. Okay? That's the first thing. So if we wanted to get a really big blizzard, one of the things this trough here would have to do is come all the way down here. At least to down here. It would have to come all the way down here. The jet stream would have to merge not up here, but it would have to merge down here. Alright? So that's the first thing that would need. That's one of the first things that would need to happen. Number 2, the European has these 2 pieces of energy converging. That's another thing that needs to happen. Otherwise, you're not going to get a strong storm. And then the other thing that needs to happen is your warm air mass on Tuesday needs to come all the way up to here at least. Your 40's got to make it up to there. And then the plunge of Arctic air has to be strong coming in. So as this moves up the coast, it explodes because you have a big temperature contrast. And the track of the low would have to be something like coming right along this area here, right off southeastern Massachusetts to bring a big snowstorm to the entire area. So in my opinion, those are the things that would need to happen. And I hope you can kind of see where I'm coming from with the comparisons to the other 2 blizzards. And this is why March is such a critical month for the biggest snowstorms. In fact, the biggest snowstorms historically happen in March. And the reason for that is because you have spring trying to come up the coast, and it's fighting with winter that's trying to maintain its hold in the north. So when you get that big temperature contrast, the storms just explode along those boundaries, especially if it's taking in Gulf moisture like the European model is suggesting this will. This just has to come a little bit further south, though. And the GFS, the American model, still does not suggest that at all. It doesn't even have these 2 pieces of energy coming together still. So that's why I'm skeptical. But if I had to take a gander, if I had to take a guess, I still think there's a chance that this could be the storm of the winter for parts of the Midwest and especially the Northeast. If the European comes to fruition, then I think there's a very good possibility. And because of what I just read online, I tend to favor the European solution for this storm. I tend to think that this is what's going to happen. Okay? I tend to think that that is what's going to happen with the storm. But again, those two, the critical thing is everything else is in place. This just needs to come further south, and these two pieces of energy need to combine. So I'm hoping over the next day or so the GFS starts to pick up on that, and it starts forming a much stronger storm. It hasn't shown that yet. So, you know, it's just something to watch, but hopefully it does. Well, for many of you, hopefully it doesn't. And the last thing here is, look at this. You have 992 millibars over here.
It's bad, but we gotta put a little rubber.
If you notice here, you have another bar around here. Now, I thought that was a lot high. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Had a little bit of an interruption, but what I was pointing out here was after the 992, you have another bar, another circle around the L. Now, I was watching AccuWeather meteorologist Bernie Rayno's video, and the European model was predicting that this central pressure was going to be 968 millibars. Now, it doesn't show that on here, but I think this is the same model run that me and Bernie Rayno were looking at, so apparently it's just not labeled here, but on his model it had 968 here. So that's just saying that these ingredients are going to be coming together much like the other two storms that happened. And 968 millibars is an extremely low pressure. The storm of 93 had a central pressure of 960 millibars at its height. So if you get 968, you know how strong that's going to be. That's going to be a really strong storm. The only thing I want to see with the European is I want this track to be a little further east. I want it to be more like there. I want it to be a little bit further east. This way, it's all snow for the entire area. It's not a wintry mix. It's not sleet. It's not ice. It's not any of that. It's just a really big snowstorm. And I think that's a legitimate possibility. Alright, I know I sounded a little more skeptical earlier, but after reviewing all of these storms that happened in mid-March in the past on the exact same date that this storm is going to be happening, see that? I'm a little more confident in the European solution. A little more confident. So I wouldn't rule it out. And there's a chance that this could be wrong in the American model is the correct solution, and we get a bit of a weaker storm. But just something to watch. We'll see which way the models trend, but personally, I'm favoring the European. I think this could be the storm of the winter. But I don't want to hype it up, so we'll see how it goes. Since the internet is working well out here, much to my favor, if I have time, I'll try to post another video tomorrow. Alright, thanks for watching, folks.